Hello again. We're here for that second semi-final of those World Qualifier points. In front of me, I have Guillaume, Maron and Baptiste around, and it is going to be very exciting to see what happens here. We've already seen one of our duelists secure that place at the World Championships, but what's going to happen here? We'll find out very shortly. Gentlemen, we're going to do a high roll. Have you done that already? No? Let's do it now. Okay, let's see. So that is a 5. And that is this. Are you going to go first? Okay, we're going to hand you straight back over to our trio. We've got Leo, Basti and Tom, who are going to immediately take you straight into this. Let's not waste any more time. Let's see another semi-final and secure that world's position.
Hello from us again. The duelists are ready. We are about to start the second match of the top 4, the next match that is going to determine another World Championship participant. So, I'll have the honors. It's time to duel!
And there we have them. This time around, we're going to have 2 French players, meaning 1 French player certainly going to the World Championship here between Guillaume and Baptiste, both having fabulous seasons as well, of course. Baptiste Derouin, for example, being the national champion of the Netherlands, even though he's French, and he's starting things off here by activating Fiendsmith's Tract.
That's a big win for France there, taking the...
He's a fellow fake Dutchman. I know a thing about that.
I mean, the French players had to go somewhere else because their own nationals were won by Anthony Lopez, which is, of course, from Luxembourg. So, Baptiste, though, also one of those players that I just love to watch, as he's just really, really good with whatever deck he touches. He's just playing things out perfectly. And honestly, while looking at his deck list here right now, he found an approach that a lot of others have completely disregarded. Even though other people have been struggling to find 15 extra deck cards to implement, he found cards other people have not even considered. For example, there's a Nightmare Griffin in his extra deck, and plenty of other things you wouldn't really expect from him here.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tech choice I've heard people talking about. So instead of using Beatrice to send Angel of Blue Tears to the graveyard, you can instead send Skill Drain and then pick it back up with the Nightmare Griffin, which is quite a cool thing to do, to get access to your Skill Drain anytime you want it.
I mean, it doesn't hurt you as much as a DDG, a different dimension drop, because if you activate this at the start of your turn, you're also going to lose plenty of resources in the process, so it might open you up to some mistakes. The Skill Drain, you're just going to wait out and then send it as cost with Ash or Oak. So I also really like this play. What I also saw in this extra deck is that he's actually running the Raging Phoenix and the Zealantis, and we have just seen with Anthony versus Gabriel, this is kind of necessary as well. You can't really break the field of your opponent and push through an OTK or even any kind of damage if your opponent builds up a huge field just consisting of a few monsters. So you kind of need this power to finish games if you're going second.
That is indeed the case. It almost feels like Baptiste took a more of an traditional approach, because he's actually also playing cards like 1-for-1 in his main deck, which you wouldn't really see that much anymore. He's using a technology that Lorenzo Muselli, for example, used to win the Italian nationals by implementing Skill Drain into his main deck, actually. And yeah, a couple of very, very interesting decisions. And I mean, if you want to, out of those 16 high-skilled, high-profile players in the World's Playoff, want to make it to the World Championship, of course, you've got to make some decisions being ahead of the curve, and maybe those were the decisions that Baptiste made here.
Yeah, I like the Skill Drain in the main deck, because you can just draw it, it's fine.
Yeah.
Against almost anything except maybe Labyrinth.
Fair enough. And I mean, also, technically, you can set it with the Griffin, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So there is an effect Veiler on the sequence here, though. So Baptiste being stopped from fusion summoning, so he was well into his Fiendsmith engine here, but now the crucial part of getting the fusion monsters out onto the field has been stopped. And actually, as we were talking about so many tech cards that he has decided to run in the extra deck, he, on the other end, has decided to not play 2 fusion monsters, but only play the Fiendsmith Lacrima and not the Desiree.
Oh, that is completely crazy to me.
I can kind of get it, because Desiree is just a little win more, because it's like an additional piece on your end field. You're just going to get there if you don't need to extend with the Lacrima, but usually you just want to go with Lacrima, and I think, therefore, that decision certainly is justifiable to me.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to cut something, right? You can't just run more cards, much as we'd all like to, you know?
I mean, some people in the tournament have been making the use of side deck spots for the extra deck cards, but that's also something that Baptiste did not do.
I find the only thing that is problematic about cutting the Desiree is that then your Fiendsmith engine basically just becomes something that is supporting your Snake Eye engine and is also not something that adds something to the field. So if your opponent has a really good hand going second, they can actually maybe overturn the game.
Yeah. Well, you add the skill drain to the field, right? That's the...
That's a fair point.
All right.
That should do the trick normally.
But let's see. We are going to link off the Snake Eye Diabalsa and Vaseline, usually going for an Appaloosa, and also here in that case resulting in exactly that. So Baptiste, Appaloosa ready to negate 2 monster effects somewhere. But first of all, I believe we're going to activate the effect of the Engraver now in the graveyard, putting one of his extra deck monsters back into the extra deck and summoning itself out.
I don't think we have gone through IP Masquerena or the Promethean Princess yet, so there's a lot of combo to be done now.
Absolutely. Baptiste can now just go for the regular Snake Eye stuff, being protected by that Appaloosa, already forcing out that one effect Veiler. And honestly, if Guillaume would know that there is no Desiree in the opponent's deck, maybe Veilering the sequence is not as good anymore, because as you were just saying, like the Fiendsmith part here in the deck of Baptiste kind of is just there to do more with the Snake Eye cards.
I mean, then there would be a skill drain.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's fair. That would probably result in that.
Just adding these Fiends with it makes the deck so much more powerful, right? Just the Veiler, you can no longer just use it on
but there is
Blossom.
Infinite Impermanence now.
That's a big one.
Yeah, and that honestly has been a trend here in this tournament, that we see people holding those hand interactions for a little longer, because when we were watching Snake Eye Mirror matches at the beginning of the format, it was very common to see, hey, Effect Veil on the first thing I'm seeing, Ash Blossom on the first thing I'm seeing as well, that I can Ash. But it has been a lot more common that people were holding their interactions, going after stuff that is later on in the combo.
And I think that is rather interesting. Okay, all right, we're seeing a Raging Phoenix. Are we going to see the Zelantis as well now, or is this just a preparation to summon a fire monster and tap Promethean Princess in the graveyard? Nope, we're going to...
Are we just going to pass
battle
on no
protect.
Fire monster? That would be interesting to see.
Now you have the Temple and the Poplar.
I quite like Zelantis. It's kind of like the Nightmare Phoenix. People use it to protect your Appaloosa from battle, and it serves a similar purpose.
Yeah, the new school Link Kuribo, kinda. But let's see. We are going to pass on that. That is a very minimalistic end field, to be fair, here by Baptiste. Guillaume has 4 cards in hand trying to break this, and he starts off by activating Bonfire, grabbing a potential Snake Eye Ash or Poplar here, and that does resolve.
I find this kind of interesting, because now you talked about the shift in when to throw hand traps against the deck.
Yeah.
It seems like the combo route that you're going with the Fiendsmith cards is a little bit more fragile against hand traps, you know? You're basically not losing anymore to the first hand trap that is being thrown and you can't play on After Ash because you have so many extenders. However, the just 1-for-1 hand traps like Effect Valor and Permanence, they do a lot more damage basically against your combo.
Agreed. Totally agreed. So we have decided on the Snake Eye Ash, and that is also, of course, going to be normal summoned. Baptiste checking his graveyard here, but I would be surprised if something from the graveyard is going to answer a normal summon, but we may as well use the Appaloosa, which we do.
The question was also, when are you going to use the Temple? Because you're going to play into a triple tactic Talents now anyways.
Yeah, we did that. I mean, we had to decide on one of the two things, right? True. So are we just going to link off and go into Anima? Because Anima would mean, even though Vigilantes was there to protect in the battle phase, that the 2 negates of the Appaloosa might still be very quickly gotten out here.
Yeah, but now we summon out the Poplar immediately. Now this is very good by Guillaume, because, as we said, there was no fire monster before on the field, so you can't Promethean Princess the Anima.
Yeah, that's true. So Guillaume very clearly going to use that effect of Anima now as well to just set things clear. And Baptiste must rely maybe on the cards that he still has in hand. Yeah, we are negating with Appaloosa. Very obvious negate there. We just don't want to give it up like that. And there is triple tactic Talons. What of those, or which of these 3 so powerful effects are we going to use here? We're just going to take over Silantes there. Okay.
That's interesting. You can't banish it, right? Because then your opponent gets the Zelantis back?
Absolutely.
I thought that maybe you would want to take the Appaloosa with still 800 attack points to possibly...
I don't think it has any attack points.
No, it doesn't have
it. It had before you activate the Anima.
That's true.
So I think you could have activated the talents before, take over the Appaloosa, and then maybe try to play on with it.
Fair,
instead of going into Anima.
Okay, but we have just decided to take over Zelantis. We're now in the battle phase. Zelantis is not going to use its effect, because funnily enough, we could use the effect of Zilantis here, as the Anima and the Appaloosa are co-linked, in fact, and therefore that would have been a possible way to do it. Maybe now, because we just waited for them to also activate the effect of Poplar, and now after we have cleared the 2 monsters, we can still, of course, as we're still in the battle phase, use the effect of Zilantis. So we're making good use of the Zilantis here that we took over.
Yep, and now, of course, we can go into the close sky, because 2 monsters equal a great old combo. Fiendsmith combo, or Snake Eye combo, whatever you will.
Kind of both.
Yeah.
One thing kind of nicely transitions into the other. But when Baptiste is looking at his hand, I think he has 4 cards in hand. And I mean, when your deck is consisting half of hand interactions, you are very likely to see some of those. And also his combo was kind of done quickly, so I think it's almost a certain thing to say that he's going to have more stuff coming here from his hand.
Does he
supporting his end field?
Also still have the spell in the graveyard? The Sinful Spoils, the original Sinful Spoils?
I mean, he should, yeah.
I think it's in his hand, no?
Oh, really? Did he never use it?
Well, Poplar added it.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely added.
Oh, right, yeah.
But did he never use it? Maybe he never used it, you might be right. But there is Beatrice now, first of all, for Guillaume. 2 level 6 monsters turning into the Eternal Lady, and there's Effect Veiler being used on it.
I like someone to put Dante in their extra deck, so you can summon it off Beatrice.
But the Pilgrim, you know?
Yeah, the big one. Yeah, not the small one.
Of course. Is there anything else we can do? Guillaume putting his cards back into the extra deck, meaning he's giving up the game, right?
Yeah.
That is going to be the game number 1 for Baptiste. Derouin being 1 game away from the World Championship now. That was just unexpected. He just picked up his cards there, and it's over there.
I liked how quickly he checked his graveyard effect, after the Effect Veiler resolved to just check, hey, do I even have any more options? Nope. Let's go into
there was
the next
nothing.
one.
I guess he probably knew when he was figuring out what to do that turn that he would lose to any sort of interruption. But sometimes you just have to do it and see what your opponent's got, right? Just because they've got 4 cards, it doesn't mean they've got any interruptions sometimes.
That is true. Most of the time.
Most of the time. But, you know, there's no point losing to stuff if it's not there.
That is true. And I mean, this is again an example. Like, you invest so much into this Beatrice, Lady of the Eternal, that if it gets Effect Veilered, you basically lose hard. There was still this Appaloosa on the field of Baptiste, so that wasn't really follow-up. However, we weren't in the battle phase anymore, so this is a face-up card that is something you can send away with the original Sinful Spoils.
Yeah, absolutely. So honestly, the field of Baptiste didn't look that great, but it really provided enough for him to win there. And that one Effect Veiler was totally enough to then seal it for him. And I think just looking at his hand there, I think I saw Nibiru as well and a Ghost Ogre. So he was really prepared for a lot of things there, and he only needed 1 of those. And now going second, I could say he probably needs 2 or 3 of those to be in competition there.
Yeah, I mean, Guillaume had also had to use multiple cards before, so he was only going into the turn with 4 cards.
Yeah, that is indeed
and
true.
he had to use 1 talent to actually take over the Zilantis. Then the Ash Blossom was negated immediately. Apparently he also, maybe he top-decked the Veiler. Also didn't help if you're playing with 4 cards.
True.
So there was just only 1 card left, and I think that was something of the Fiendsmith engine?
Yeah, probably. But like, let's quickly analyze the situation again, because we were all kind of surprised by him taking over Zilantis, right? In the first place, like, I like the option of just taking the Appaloosa before you activate the... I mean, you don't even have to summon Anima at that point anymore if you just... Because the Snake Eye Ash on the field could have still used its effect, because it wasn't Imperm or anything negating it, but just the Appaloosa. So taking over that Appaloosa and having it as a negate really seems like a pretty good option. And I mean, the Zilantis really just destroyed the field spell. And I mean, we could have other ways to deal with that, right?
What you could have also done is take over the Appaloosa, then go into Anima and take the Zilantis, because it's pointing at the Zilantis after that.
Where was the... No, I thought Zilantis was parked.
No, they were calling to protect it. And you just go after the extra... Yeah, I like that a lot.
However, it also doesn't really do anything else except for removing the Appaloosa from the field, and it really looked like Guillaume didn't have another way to summon out a monster onto the field. Maybe he had another hand trap in hand that he couldn't use the turn before, which just means that he basically only had 2 monsters to play. And yes, you can get a lot of 2 monsters from the field with the Moon, but if there is a hand trap, there is a hand trap.
That is indeed the case. So the duel between the 2 French players here, the 2 French people that made it into this top 4 playoff after being the most represented nation here among those top 16 players. They were the most successful nation throughout the grind, throughout the season. And I think 8 of them made it into the playoff. And now we already have one person from the UK with Gabriel Nets qualifying. And then, of course, Anthony Lopez there, as being Luxembourgish, is also waiting to have another chance against the loser of this match. But first of all, we're going to send one French person, and we can find out whether that's going to be Baptiste by winning this game, or whether Guillaume is still competing in this. Back over to the table, game number 2 coming here.
All right, the cards are drawn. Who is going to start? I would assume that it's going to be Guillaume. Can he combo off, or will Baptiste find the necessary hand traps to stop him and then retaliate with a Snake Eye Ash as well? This looks like an interesting hand. It's a very, very green hand.
I was going to say, that's a lot of spells.
All right, Snake Eye Ash, though, is a good card to start things off with, but it does get met with Effect Veiler immediately, and then there's triple tactic talent. To have a quick look, and now we can see it all. 4 green cards, as you were just saying. That's 4 spell cards.
And you don't like it when your opponent does the looksies. This is very, very tough, because it kind of means that there is... Are we fist bumping again? No. that there is follow-up in the hand of Guillaume. There will probably be a way to summon another monster. And Engraver discard also ensures that now Guillaume knows, hey, there is nothing to stop me this turn. I can just pop off.
Yeah. Interesting decision to see that we go after the triple tactic talents, because the only real scary card to me was the Wanted there, because Wanted is going to give engine in some way.
It was tracked as well.
I mean, yeah, but that doesn't really accomplish that much, does it? Like, you can get to, of course, you can get to the Fiendsmith part of your deck, but it's only going to be Requiem, and that's not that much on its own, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess once you know the talents is gone, that's the kind of thing that can sometimes flip the game on its head. Whereas if you see your opponent's hand, they've got a couple of pushes, but now you know you're going to have multiple interruptions. You might as well just say, okay, he's not going to have that swingy card.
You're right, you're right.
Just,
Also, that Happiest Feather Duster, though. Interesting decision to be included in general, I would say, because that's not really the card I would be looking to include into my deck in this top 16 playoff. I mean, against decks like Labyrinth, of course, which we have also seen in the playoff, that would have been kind of cool, but here in this matchup, I'm not even really sure.
I mean, the French players usually test a lot with each other.
Yeah.
Does Guillaume also play something? No, he plays different dimension ground, right? So even that is not an argument for the Harpy's Feather Duster. If he was on the skill drain technology as well, I would have definitely understood that he's siding in Harpy's Feather Duster.
And actually, Baptiste's deck list is really, really tailored towards those back row decks, because we see triple Cosmic Cyclone in there as well. And also, an all-star of all time, Eldritch the Golden Lord is in there too, so he's really making some interesting decisions. His whole deck seems absolutely perfectly designed for this playoff environment. He apparently got the memo that a couple of people are also going to be on the Labyrinth deck, so he's widely spread. He's very well prepared for all kind of different decks, for all the different decks here in the tournaments.
And I just want to mention that the amount of 3 Cosmic Cyclones is the perfect amount.
I do know that you would say that. But he only has to overcome one more deck, one more opponent, if he wants to go to the World Championship. Because if he can seal this duel, or maybe the third one, he is going to be the person qualifying from these 2.
Actually, it kind of looks more like maybe the next one, because this is not looking too strong, but we don't want to judge too early here.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be up on life points. What more is there to ask for? It's very important sometimes being up on life points, as we saw at the end of the last match.
I mean, Guillaume is just playing against no hand traps anymore. He knows that. That is also a very important factor, because he just doesn't have to make any unnecessary plays there. No precautionary steps to go, hey, I would rather want to commit this card to the field, but I'm afraid of an Nibiru, I'm afraid of an Ash Blossom, so I'm just rather going to not do that for safety. Doesn't need to. He can take risks, because he knows there are no risks.
There are no cards to be awaited. And this could really turn out to be the story of this points playoff, that the people that made top 8 last year in the main event and then heartbrokenly lost. Gabriel Nets, the first one, and then also Baptiste Derouin on the other hand, because he made top 8 in last year's European Championship. So close to the World Championship, but yet so far not making their way to Japan last year. And now this year it might be those people immediately going through in the semi-finals, this time around making their way to the World Championship.
I mean, you have to say he's got to be pretty happy with how this game is going. It is always good to get that, win after you lose the first round. I mean, obviously, otherwise the game's over, but,
Yeah, and I mean, it's Baptiste who's a game up, who's had that run last year. But now it's on Guillaume, of course, trying to come back into this as well.
Now I want to see what his perfect combo is here. Of course, the effect Veiler was an interruption in the beginning, so he had to take some different steps. This is also something that is really important for combo decks. You know, for each single hand trap that there is in the game, you have to know how to play on after it interrupted you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Guillaume, another one of the players that has decided to actually use his side deck as kind of an extension of his extra deck, because he did not only include 1, not 2, but 3 cards from his side deck as extra deck cards. So there's Access Code Talker, Consular Ptolemy M7 actually, and also Dark the Dark Charmer. So he has the option to be flexible with his 15-card extra deck after side decking.
Yeah, M7's quite an interesting choice. I'm not really sure I understand like what it's for. I mean, I know what it does, but like people side it in going first, right, to maybe add some resources back. But
yeah, maybe just adding back an Ash Blossom and Joy Spring that you used on a Molcharmi or something. I mean, I could see that potentially. That could be kind of cool. But right now, Guillaume is in the middle of his combo. And honestly, you would expect him to kind of go by default right now, because he knows Baptiste can't interact with him. He can just completely pull off his combo here. There already is a Celine on the field, making you think that probably an Appaloosa isn't too far away either.
Yeah. I was thinking at first he could go for a 4-material Appaloosa, but that wouldn't have been too smart. There is still the Harpy's Feather Duster waiting, and you can't rely on that temple, because it would have been a really cool first turn to go IP and Appaloosa into the extra monster zone and then have the temple set up. However, if you know that your temple won't
passing
take
it over here,
no
though.
IPs here.
Okay, Leo, you said you would love to see the full combo that Guillaume can do, but if that is the full combo that he has lined up, then that's not too much, honestly.
He's actually playing around the Harpy's Feather Duster, because I think the better combo on paper would have been the IP in the main monster zone, going for a 4-material Appaloosa earlier, summoning back 2 monsters, go IP, and then wait for the first normal summon to summon out Oak again, have all the materials, all the resources. However, as I said, Feather Duster kind of denies that whole thing, and now we're actually keeping the Feather Duster, saying, hey, what are we even saying here?
Discard it,
We are basically also a little bit threatening a Talons, so that if our opponent... I'm not too sure actually what we're doing here, why we haven't activated it, but let's see.
Could just be doing this in the draw phase, just in case of
fair point.
draw and Lockbird.
It's a very good point, actually.
But I mean, also the Wanted was known, so we may as well just activate that first. Let's see whether they have an Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, and then we can re-evaluate our moves after. So I actually do like starting with this here right now. And the question is going to be, when are we revealing the unknown? All right, we are discarding the Harpy's Feather Duster.
That is a very fair point.
Appaloosa is going to use its effect to negate the effect of the Black Witch.
So are we going to kick now?
Maybe we have just picked up another copy of Turbo Tactic Talons here. Let's see. There is that one unknown card we drew for turn. But first of all, the battle phase is going to happen.
That is so odd, because, I mean, we know that there is Tracked in hand. And it can just be activated now. And this field that Guillaume put out, it just knew that it was going to lose against Wanted and Tracked.
Still got the Princess in the graveyard.
Oh, there is the Tracked now.
True.
And I love how Baptiste is holding back on the one card he has in hand. He doesn't want to give away that free info just yet. Maybe that is the card that he did need eventually. Maybe that is going to be a Triple Tactic Talons again to provide even further pressure onto Guillaume. But first of all, we're going to use the Tract. Of course, Search of the Lurry. The Fabled Lurry is such an old card now, again being the centerpiece of attention with the Fiendsmith strategy. Coming back to the field, and the Princess is going to go after the Lurry here.
Yeah, I love sometimes when just an old card just becomes super relevant just out of nowhere.
It's actually beautiful. Okay, Flamberge Dragon was destroyed for the Princess as well, and therefore it's going to use its graveyard effect to bringing out Ash and Poplar, providing follow-up for the upcoming turn 2.
So will Baptiste be able to use his last card?
One card in hand. Is it going to be... He hasn't normal summoned anything. If this is a Molcharmi or anything, you would want to normal summon this and go into the moon. There's also one more card in the hand of Guillaume. Now there's 3, but still.
Yeah, he's going to get the Oak as well. He's got so many resources.
For a second it looked like he's packing up, and now he is packing up indeed.
It wasn't even a hand trip. What card could it have been that does nothing in this situation? Is it a Flamberge? Is it a Snake Eyes Diabellstar? Which card in this situation is so useless?
Maybe another witch. Witch card, another witch.
Ah, fair enough.
That could be that. But yeah, no way of extending there for Baptiste, meaning it is going to all go down into a third and final game. First semi-final. We had a real photo finish with a third game coming as well. But this time, again, a third game coming, but a lot more time on the clock. So this one probably going to play out a little longer.
Yeah.
And we're potentially going to see a couple more turns going down.
Yeah, that's always exciting for people, I think. I mean, obviously, time brings tension and drama, but it's always nice to see the players play out the game to the fullest of their capabilities.
Yeah. I mean, Baptiste is just generally just such a quick player. He's acting so quick, he's playing so quick. So usually you rarely go to see him in timeout, from my personal experience at least, when I was always watching him play.
The thing is, the last match, it was so back and forth. Nets versus Lopez. It was, in Germany we say a Krimi, a crime story basically. Don't know how that translates, so I should probably have brought it up. However, this was amazing. There was so much back and forth. Both players took multiple turns. You could really see how their brains were thinking, how they would have to find a way to solve the puzzle that their opponent is presenting them. And this time we just had basically a combo, and then that was a very quick forfeit of saying, hey, I can't play through this because I don't have the necessary cards.
Honestly, in the first top 4 match, in all 3 games, I mean in the third one not necessarily, but in game 1 and game 2, and both of these we couldn't really tell who would be winning throughout the duel, so both really had their shot. But here, this one already kind of felt very, very much going into the direction of Guillaume when he activated that triple tactic talents, right? That was really, really favorable for him. And I now want to see whether Baptiste is going to be able to pull off that Nightmare Griffin combo in game number 3, because I kind of want to see that, setting the skill drain, maybe setting something else, because he's also bringing in cards like Anti-Spell Fragrance from side deck too, so we could also go after that. And I like to see that the Fiendsmith cards are so flexible in what they can provide, and that is also an option you can go with.
It's absolutely insane, isn't it? You can set any trap from your deck in 2 different ways.
Absolutely, yeah. You can decide which way to go. I mean, Guillaume even would have another way of just using the M7 and taking it back. Or can M7 only go after monsters? Okay, it's only monsters. Sad, okay. One last moment.
I don't know if you can make Beatrice and then M7. That might be a bit much to ask.
It might be a stretch here, right?
If you have the neck equip in the extra deck, I think you can.
You probably can, yeah, I agree. It is actually possible. But now this third game is going to be really, really intense. I mean, now with also the use of the side deck in the first semi-final, we saw the Mulcharmy Perulia having a huge impact.
Yeah.
Actually, Baptiste not running it, but he's not the one going second here, but Guillaume is, and he does run it in his side deck, so we might see it one more time here. This card, honestly, might become one of the cards of the weekend, honestly. I'm expecting a lot from Mulcharmy Perulia. I think we'll see it plenty, and we may see it here again in this third and final game between Guillaume Maron and Derouin Baptiste. So let's go over to the table. Game 3 starting here now.
All right, Baptiste still checking his deck, drawing the first 5 cards. It's all in his hands. It is such a huge advantage to go first in game 3. There's still 20 minutes on the clock. He can just combo off now if Guillaume doesn't find the right cards. The age-old question is, does Guillaume have the answers?
All right, and off we go. Baptiste starting things off here, carefully considering his opening hand. And, and there is the Perulia, I told you, but there's the Ash Blossom and Joy Spring to answer it right away by Baptiste. Drawing would be involved in the resolution of the effect of Mulcharmy Perulia, and therefore we can use Ash Blossom and Joy Spring onto it.
Baptiste just went, how rude of you to interrupt me. Ash Blossom, now I normal summon.
Yep. And that is, of course, very, very, very strong for Baptiste. 1 card less to care about. And also, of course, still a way to combo for him.
Not the ideal start there with just the Poplar, but we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, I also think that you would never really want to start with just Poplar anymore, so maybe there's not too much follow-up.
Yep. Unless you have to. There is Snake Eye Ash, and there's Effect Veiler for that too, okay.
But now there's still 2 monsters, so this is already infinite times better than before the Infinite Forbidden.
That's true. Good pun there by you, Leo.
Wasn't even
first
planned.
one today.
Wasn't even planned.
But let's see whether Baptiste is even going to go down that route here. Oh! Oh, triple tactic talents on top of the Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. Let's check out whether there is something waiting. There was Magnum and an Impermanence.
Guillaume probably saw this hand and thought, hey, how could I possibly lose this game? The answer is Ash Blossom and then all the other things that happen, because this is looking good for Baptiste. Which card are you getting rid of here? Actually, all of these cards are...
the Magnum.
Oh, yes, okay. We're going to play against one Impermanence.
How well can we play against the one Impermanence with just what we have left?
Sure.
Baptiste is going to show us, I guess.
He has 2 cards in hand left.
That's true. That's true. But no normal summon.
That is correct.
So going into his extra deck, deciding which route to go.
I just still like that he took away the Magnamut, because with Magnamut you can do a lot more than with a discarded Impermanence, and there's only Engraver in hand. So Baptiste, to actually, if he even gets stopped, he doesn't really need too much to stop the turn from Guillaume.
I think so as well. I think the actual fact that the Bestials and Magnamut specifically is a level 6 monster, which then also adds another level 6 monster, which equals Beatrice on its own, is so scary that I think you kind of have to go after the Magnamut there. But we are going for Engraver first of all here through the Requiem that was summoned after the Link to the Closed Moon hit the field, or Moon of the Closed Heaven rather.
So what is the line here?
Oh, track being activated now by Baptiste too. And Guillaume so far just really holding his interactions. And I mean, in game number 1, he decides to imperm the sequence. So maybe that's just going to be the case again. Honestly, I could see it.
Yeah, it's a curious line here. I guess it's interesting to figure out like what is always the best way to sequence your cards, because that Lurie could have been a Requiem by itself. You like that one?
Yeah, I loved that one.
And are we? Yes, that is going to be the Fiendsmith sequence. And indeed, Guillaume has held his Impermanence for that. But now Baptiste in the graveyard may as well just use the effect of Tracked, right? Because that is also still in there. But first of all, Engraver is going to be used, recycling the Requiem to summon itself out to the field again.
The question is what he now does with it, because even a Promethean Princess would do too much. There is not even anything. You don't have Ash or Oak in the graveyard, so you can't really do too much. I think you basically end up on Princess plus Raging Fire if you're going for this line.
There is the Princess, so that one was decided on. Let's bring back the Ash too. Is that really going to be a Snake Eye turn where we're not going to... Yeah, there was Ash for sure.
Of course, it got Veiled.
Yeah, but are we going to have a way to the Flamberge Dragon as well? Because we kind of need another card to send, don't we?
I mean, we just sent the Princess.
Yeah, but then the Flamberge is just alone on the field. We have Oak
and it's
now.
kind of lonely, and that doesn't really sound like a good plan.
Oak doesn't even bring anything back. It just sends itself to the graveyard immediately. We summon out the Flamberge, but now the thing is that we have more follow-up than before. So if we pass on Flamberge, put something into the spell trap.
That sounds crazy.
Yep, we want to fully correctly do this. Summon back the Ash, summon out the Flamberge. Now try to save some seconds within that. He lost some seconds. Flamberge is just going to put one more resource into the spell trap zone, I would assume.
Probably Snake Eye Ash, right? Which provides the best follow-up.
Well, you can summon the Ash from the graveyard, so maybe you put in the regular Ash. Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring instead, because that's not going to come back off the bar.
What is that going to do in the spell trap zone? It's a difficult choice for sure.
So,
don't think it matters too much.
Might be one of the weirdest looking Snake Eye Anfields here in this last and deciding game, because it does look like just Flamberge pass. There is a Snake Eye monster, and there's also Anti-Spell now. Anti-Spell Fragrance confidently being flipped by Baptiste.
But is that so good?
Oh yeah, it shuts off the Fiendsmith, right?
It does shut
You
off
can't use Fiendsmith tracks.
Oh, that's a very good point.
That is Baptiste Derouin qualifying for the World Championship here by overcoming his French friend Guillaume Maron.
The fragrance was completely insane. You're absolutely right. Shutting down the complete Engraver engine there. That was just too much there. You said it. It was a weird-looking Snake Eye Enfield.
For sure.
But when has Fragrance, for the last time when it was flipped, not decided the game?
When your opponent has Mystical Space Field.
Oh, that's a very good point. Samir Bashar, 2016, in this very venue, by the way.
Oh, okay. But yeah, that was definitely a deserved qualification. So the story, as I was already trying to get there, is actually fulfilling of the people that last year in the main event were so close by getting top 8, are now making their way straight. They don't even have to go into that very, very emotional third place playoff game that we're about to have later on, or just after this actually. And therefore we now have Gabriel Nats and also Baptiste Derouin qualifying. Very deserved.
And the next match, which is going to decide who's the third person to qualify on this very Friday.
Yeah.
Anthony Lopez is a fantastic player. He has had a fantastic season. Guillaume as well. I've just seen them. They were talking to each other after the game that Anthony lost against Gabriel. It was a very heated up discussion. Both of them, I think they know each other quite well.
Yeah.
So this is going to be very emotional there.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, sometimes after you come out, if you've lost a particularly important game, you completely hammer it. You think all the different ways you could have played it to see what could have happened. So maybe that's what they were talking about, or maybe, I mean, who knows? In that moment.
Yeah, Anthony also, of course, honorable French, because he won the French nationals.
True.
Also, I'm pretty sure he's fluent in French, as he is in German and English. So he's like speaking all the languages, which I don't know whether that's going to help him now in the third place playoff, of course, because he needs to speak the language of cards here for that to qualify for the World Championship of Yu-Gi-Oh! But yeah, Baptiste does not have to worry about that anymore, because that guy, he's already qualified for Worlds. Must be nice, right?
Qualifying for the World Championship. This is every Yu-Gi-Oh! Player's dream, basically. Once you achieve the status of a World Champion participant, you're a legend of the game.
Yeah.
You're immortalized.
You can retire. Kinda, you can. But of course, who better to ask about that than the person himself going, let's go over to Ad and our winner, Baptiste, for the winner's interview.
Hello guys, I am here with our second World Championship qualifier. Baptiste Derouin is here. Baptiste, you're now going to the World Championship Series in Seattle. How does that feel?
That's incredible. I missed the Worlds last year from one match. I lost in top 8, so it feels very special this time.
You've got justice. You're going. It's brilliant. So talk to us about that game, because, you know, like you say, it didn't make it last year. There's a lot of pressure on you in this. So talk to us about how you mentally keep in the game.
Yeah, I think I was mentally good, like not really stressed. I made a few mistakes during the match, but I was okay.
It was a much quicker game, we noticed,
for sure.
and even the commentators were saying this, because our last one, it went all the way into time. You guys, you just managed to get through it. Let's go through some of these. Sort of the main points. Game 1, Guillaume just couldn't play through your Appaloosa in game 1, and more than that, but that was sort of the main bullet point.
I mean, I had a weak board because he imperm Velomi. I thought he would use them more quickly, because my opening hand was really weak. It was like Lurie and Oak, but I had entraps to back this up.
And then game 2, you didn't have much of a way to extend, so you just scooped.
Yeah, I think I used my Valor too early, because I had a really good end to play going second. I would have used it on a sequencer, I don't know.
So that's the end of game 2, and there was lots of time left in the round. So when you're under that much pressure, it's one game apiece, and you have to win. What's going through your mind?
Oh, I don't know if I would have wanted to go into time, because I have 3 Spooky Dogwood in the side. So I was pretty confident, because I sided a lot going first. Skill Drain, Cross Out, Anti-Spell, of course.
Let's talk about Anti-Spell, because that was a moment where people were going, the commentator said, oh, I don't know what that would help. And one of them goes, well, it shuts out the entire engine. Pass turn, you flip it over, and you just watched him melt. Yeah, it was only like a top deck Snake Ayash would have made it play, but a lot of follow-up, and I knew the Engraver, which is a spell pretty much. I mean, congratulations once again, a brilliant game. What's going through your mind now? Now that you've achieved Worlds, what are you going to do with the rest of your weekend? Oh, I guess I will enjoy it more. I will play a main event, of course, but it will be really nice, really appreciable tournament. Well, congratulations again. We'll be seeing you in Seattle, making your way to that World Championship. Maybe you'll even take it home. Very exciting. Congratulations again. Guys, that's not it. We still have one more game, because now the 3rd and 4th place are going to battle it out to see which one of them is also going to be joining Baptiste and Gabriel in Seattle. We're going to hand you back over to our amazing commentators, because we're soon going to get into that feature match.